Hey, Facebook friends and YouTube. So I've been researching this whole topic a lot of being mastered by someone. And I was reading a lot of articles regarding the whole leaving and cleaving concept with, parents to children. And that is very crucial and very important. And I can understand the whole having a hard time leaving to an extent. Me and my mom have always been close, but the Bible does not actually say that women need to leave. It says a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife. I remember I asked my stepdad once, why does it say a man and not a woman? And he says, well, because the man has to be the leader of his household, and he can't be a leader if he's still under the leadership of his parents. So either you are a leader or a follower. Either you're, and then to take this further, which I'll analyze more, either you're a slave or a master. And there has been some tension and frustration with my husband and his parents, well, mainly his mom. And I think it's not so much just that, like just that relationship of son and mother-in-law, or anyways, I think it's slave master. And it really, 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 really bugs me when anybody is, it seems like when, if someone is a slave and someone else is trying to be their master. And obviously that would really irritate me because that is how I entered the world. I was sexually abused by my dad. And I was the slave and he was the master, So not that that's how it is in every parent-child relationship, obviously, but there are different variations of that. So in mine, it was physical. And then in other cases, it's emotional. There's an emotional slave-master thing with a parent-child relationship. And I mean, for the most part, it's fine as long as the kid is a kid. But when the kid grows up and that continues and there's like a slave-master thing, then that's really, really dysfunctional and messed up. And a lot of times when this happens in families and they're dysfunctional, they don't even realize it because they don't have anything to compare it to, or they don't know how other families function. So they just go with it and nobody questions, and no one says, well, maybe this is weird, or, maybe this isn't how a family should be run. Anyway, so I'm going to focus this video on the topic of not being mastered. Don't let yourself be mastered by anything, which is brought up in the Bible a few times. And I think everybody tends toward either literally wanting to be a master or a slave. Some people who have stronger personalities, which obviously this is more my bent, some people want more to be masters, or that's just their tendency. But that doesn't mean that we should master people. It just means that God gave us a leadership personality which can be used for good, but it can be used for bad too. And then other people are born with just a more low-key, laid-back personality, and they seem to enjoy being a servant, but that's not good. Like, it's good to submit and it's good to follow to an extent, but you don't want to let someone tell you what to do, Anyways, so every relationship has that, someone is, the top dog, so to speak. Someone is the master and someone's the slave. And, basically you end up marrying someone who reminds you of your dominant parent, or like the parent that you talk to the most or you spent the most time with. So psychologically, this can get kind of crazy because, it's not always that the man in the relationship is dominant. Like, if he was used to being a subservient master to his domineering mom, and she was the master and he was the slave, then he's going to marry someone like her, which hopefully I'm not too much like my stepmom. But we both have strong personalities. So, yeah, so you got to watch out for that. Like, even if you do tend to have more of a master personality, it doesn't mean that you should master people, obviously. So, analyze that, figure out which one you are. I think most people are one or the other. Generally, it's introverted or extroverted, that's another way of categorizing. If you're an extroverted, you're probably more tend to be a master type personality. If you're introverted, then you're more comfortable being a servant, or in the worst case, a slave. So what does Paul say about this? Paul says in 1 Corinthians 6:12, all things are lawful for me, but not all things are helpful. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be mastered or enslaved by anything or anyone. So it's really important that you don't let yourself be a slave. And one epiphany that I had was that it's not so much the jerks of the world that are the problem. It's the nice people who let the jerks be jerks. So now in this context, it's not the masters that are the problem. It's the people who allow themselves to be slaves. If there weren't any slaves, then there wouldn't be any masters. Does that make sense? So if people succumb and bow down and let themselves be enslaved, then that's the real problem. I mean, obviously both sides need to tone it down. The masters need to not try and master people, but the slaves need to not let themselves be slaves, and they need to be stronger, and they need to stand up for themselves, and not just bow down to other people. But that is the core problem there, is people pleasing. Slaves are generally very much into people pleasing, so you got to watch out for that. And you don't, and the problem with that is that then you're kind of worshiping people. So when you people please, you're putting a person in the place where God should be, and that's not okay. So that is a sin. So the masters are sinning by trying to control people, and then the slaves are sinning by letting people control them. So I pray that bless you all. May God bless you. Have a good day. Bye.